Right. Welcome to the Idea Earth update number 2. This is where nature meets satire, and we learn that nature always wins or loses miserably. So days 1 through 10 was a subterranean subterfuge. It was absolutely insane. We had people tearing up the underneath of the soil. The project started with optimism, an ecosystem blending worms, plants, and hopefully a system of balance. Then came the Zoophobus morius superworms. And then it all went downhill faster than the worms toiling the soil. These superworms didn't waste any time before declaring war on the jalapeno plants. In just days, the leaves were shredded, the soil was tilled, and the plants were gasping some of their final breaths of life. Watching the superworms as they were first introduced into the terrarium was like watching the scene of Gears of War when they're first landing and tilling into the ground like with drills. It's pretty crazy stuff, man. I don't like it.
Never thought it would end like this, huh? Tom! No!
Meanwhile, the Tilibrio molitor worms, mealworms, were minding their own business, unlike their chaotic cousins. Little did they know that their time in the spotlight was just around the corner. Days 11 through 15, the Darkling debuted. The mealworms were actually the first ones to step up their game and turn into Darkling beetles. And like I said before, the actual worms, once they turn into Darklings, are different. They're not the actual same worm. They're not the same Darkling beetle because they are different worms. These little guys emerged shiny, brown, and way too confident for the chaos that's erupting around them. Mealworm Darklings are small and harmless, but their swagger was impossible to ignore. And still, the superworms were waiting, lurking, waiting for their more terrifying transformation. Day 16 through 20, the Jalapeno Massacre. Well, the jalapenos mostly haven't made it. I mean, some have. Between the burrowing superworms and the nibbling mealworms, the jalapenos have been reduced to little more than decoration. By day 20, we realized that this was not a place for living flora. It was going to be a problem to keep plants alive. I'm going to have to reseed it probably, more than likely. Day 20, the mystery snail fiasco. Oh, I'm not going to say this right. Enter the Pomaceae brigiesi, or as we call it, the mystery snail. Or as I call it, a catalyst for disaster. Now, this was supposed to be a harmless addition to the terrarium to make it kind of like a little cleanly thing to make it clean up and, add to the vivarium's, have a water area. Unfortunately, it arrived DOA. Mystery snails are actually really interesting despite the fact that we got one dead. They've evolved in a certain way where they can actually use their gills and they can also use like air above the ground. So they have a dual breathing system. They can come out of the water for a short period of time, and then they can go under and still breathe the water breathe the air through the water through their gills. It's really, really interesting. What is a mystery snail? It's a mystery. The mystery snail quickly began to contaminate the area, so we had to do something about that. Plus, it had also killed 10 worms, receiving the Darwin Award, who had dove into the water and drowned. So, 11 dead, putting us about 110 population. Boy, were those Darwin Award winners overconfident. They thought they could swim. They were wrong. So here we are getting towards the end of this, and I kind of have some ideas and reflections. 1. Mealworms make very poor swimmers. 2. Superworms are like a wormy demolition crew. They come through and wreck. I mean, they're popping out of the soil, popping up roots. It's insane. It looks like the ground in tremors. And 3. Mystery snails aren't as mysterious as they are bad at staying alive. Sad. On a brighter note, the new Darkling beetles from the mealworms are doing well. They're sustaining themselves. The superworms are bidding their time under the ground, and the jalapenos are suffering. They will be remembered fondly. It's the superworm Darklings. We're going to have a full-on revolution on our hands once those mean, big beetles burst through the soil. And heck, if they ally with the mealworm Darklings, we can have a full-on mealworm uprising. Now, Idea Earth has been a really great exploration of science, of just environment, and also kind of dark humor. While it hasn't gone exactly as planned, it's been wildly entertaining, and we're planning the next phase actively, always. Stay tuned for next month's update. It's going to be apocalyptic, probably. We got some new residents moving in a little bit meaner than the worms, so you never know what you're going to find in Idea Earth. Thank you guys for revisiting history and kind of keeping up with the project. It's really cool to be doing something like this, and it's out of my scape, and it's also freezing outside. So a lot of the sites, I mean, like literally, I'm not trying to get frostbite, but we'll see you guys around. Thank you guys for Idea Earth and revisiting history. Peace out, guys.